Good morning, everybody. This is Gideon Blau with Tech Hub. Today, we're joined by Juan Sebastián from OneFly. Good morning, Juan. How are you?
It's great to be back here speaking with you, Gideon, with the team, and excited for these couple of minutes we have together.
Yeah, no, very good, and thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule with OneFly and talk to us about how the business is. Of course, I want to start with again congratulating you with last year's victory round you did in the Americas final, where you were number one, and then went on to Vienna, where you finished third in a global finals. Out of 3,000 applications, you ended up on the third spot. Tell me more about that experience and what happened after that.
Oh my God, it comes back a long time. I think everything started a couple years ago. It wasn't just at Vienna, so it was just like taking some weight off my shoulders as soon as I heard my name in the podium. But no, that the experience was, to be honest, life-changing. Being able to be in an ecosystem that is global, not only local and regional, my mind just expands. So thanks to Cleantech Hub, to the Climate Climate Kick, everyone for making this a reality, for the opportunity, and again to be here speaking with you after the big competition, the global competition. I actually had the opportunity to participate in other events related to Climate Kick, to the Cleantech Hub, and the Climate Launchpad. So it's great to be back. To be honest, Vienna was a big challenge. Like for me, being from Colombia, yes, I do have good English. I am also a dual citizen with Canada, so my English is very fluent, but it's not the same when you speak in your second language and in front of, let's say, 200, 300 people, and who knows how many were viewing the live stream. So yeah, it felt for me like a first time, even though we practice. It's funny because 1 hour before the big show, I just blanked out. So you just have to be confident and just get up on stage and do your best. And I think Vienna marked an after and before and after, because that's when you actually get real recognition. I haven't made it yet, but it was a good step in this road that I'm trying to pave in this industry that is very innovative. We're talking about deep tech, biotechnology, something that is not conventional, even though my biotechnology is something natural. I'm just trying to industrialize my biodiversity. So this big recognition for me was like, okay, it's getting real. Like my mentor, Javier Serrano, said from Cleantech Hub during all this process, he told me, hey, you have to stop thinking about this as an idea, as a hobby, because it's a very expensive hobby. You need to materialize it. So being in Vienna, getting to get this prize money helped us advance a little bit more. And I can say now in April, 6 months later, we've done big steps. And this prize and this competition was really good for us. If we speak in about opening doors, so it opened a lot of doors for us. And yeah, I think it's just one big step in the road that we're continuously pushing through.
Yeah, no, very good. And I know you guys were very early stage. I mean, Juan, we know each other already for a couple of years back in another competition in Barquilla, and you had this crazy idea about let's say, an entire setup of insects, and you want to conquer the world with a bunch of insects. So that was like, okay, it was captivating, but it was just a story. Where are you now?
Well, I'm a civil engineer, so it's a little bit funny talking about insects. Like you said, I started with a crazy idea. My family has always been in the agro industry, so I'm a fourth generation agro, And when COVID hit, I was doing my master's degree in Toronto, and I took the decision to come back from Canada and go to the farm. So basically, we weren't in quarantine. We didn't even think about COVID. We were just working and working. And that's when I got into the family business and I found out about this insect. So I think it's something that just out of curiosity captured my attention. So yeah, every day I started thinking about this small idea that I had. I finally was able to materialize it. Right now, I have my pilot plant set up in Barranquilla. We're continuously doing trials for potential investors or allies or clients. And we're also in big negotiations with one of the biggest waste management companies in the region. So yeah, 2026, I think, is going to be a very, very good year for us. I hope so. But yeah, we passed from a small idea and we took it to a global vision, something that is not only applicable here where I am in my pilot plant, but something that if we do things right, we can have this blueprint and we can actually replicate it, scale it up, and deploy it basically anywhere, not only in Latin America, but in the world. And I don't know, I think of myself as a visionary and as someone that thinks even more outside of the box than normal people does. So who knows? I might be thinking about space in a short future.
Very good, very good. So before we go into space, just because this is a question I get a lot, it's like, okay, you're working in the bioeconomy. We're dealing with organisms. It's biology. It lives at its own rhythm, and now you want to scale that business, right? I mean, you talk about an army of insects. By the way, I like the wording because we're talking about the black soldier fly here, right? Correct. So how do you scale an organism? How do you scale an army of insects?
I want to start off with the first soldier, right? So it's funny because Juan in English sounds like Juan, and my name is Juan Sebastian. And as soon as I started studying by myself this insect and the benefits it has, the power it has, how aggressive it is in the nature, and how it's a natural biodigester for us, and how I'm taking that I found in the wildlife and industrializing through a industrial or an engineering process. The name comes out because I found a biologist here in my local city in Barranquilla, and he told me, hey, I don't want to talk with entrepreneurs. I don't want to talk with CEOs. I don't want to talk with, like a businessman. First, start off with OneFly. And when you have OneFly, we start talking. So that's exactly how I started with OneFly by myself. So yeah, I went from a small biopod, and now I have a process, like a workflow process where something comes in and something comes out. So that's when you know that it's actually working. But it's not only the practice, but you also have to document everything. You have to have a lot of data, a lot of, let's say, mass balances, understanding what comes in, what comes out, efficiencies, everything. So now I have a strong group. We have in our team 5 people. So yeah, we're growing, and it's been a fun ride, but very frustrating because we're working with insects. Like you said, they're my little army, they're my little soldiers, but with big impact. So we're working hand by hand with them. They don't stop working. They're 24/7 eating off and disappearing waste. And how I like to say it is that we disappear organic waste in record time with an army of insects. And we do this, or my business model actually is to do this on site, where we eliminate all transportation, eliminating obviously all the environmental, the negative environmental impact that this generates, and also reducing all the transportation costs. That is basically around 40% of waste management costs. So we're not only doing this faster than traditional composting, we're doing it more sustainable than traditional centralized waste management systems like landfills or other type of biogas type of management, waste management. So we're doing this with insects, and we're doing it fast. But the best part is that we not only win the war against the environmental impact, but we also win the war against food security, because we're producing a very high protein alternative where we don't do deforestation to produce soy. We don't use chemical fertilizers. We don't do overfishing in the seas. So we're taking care of many points of our environment. So that's something that's like the beauty of the business,
Yeah,
because to be
yeah,
honest, it's just raising insects. It's like raising cattle. My family raises cattle since 4 generations, so we understand how we need to take care of our nature, so it takes care of us. And like I
yeah.
always say, in nature we have the answers. We just have to look into it.
Yeah, no, very good. I mean, you're working on the great unlock here. Let's make this concrete, because some people might listen in and say, okay, these guys are talking about waste and they're talking about flies, and how can we? Is there actually a product? So, what are you guys producing, and who's buying this stuff?
Okay, so we have two parts of the business. We have the service, that's our core business, right? That's where we're doing the big impact, where we're upcycling waste. So we take waste. We can work directly with companies, B2B, people who have waste. Normally here in Colombia, they charge that waste, even though, let's say, the normativity, the regulations say that you can't sell it, you have to dispose of it. Here, since it's a little bit informal, we also have to get into the regulation part, the politic part, or like the governmental part of the business, so we can align these actors or these players to understand that they have waste and they can actually gain some money or reduce costs with our biotechnology, with our service. So we're telling them, hey, you have waste, I can treat your waste, I can disappear your waste. That's the first part. And then the other part is, okay, after our process of disappearing the waste, we end up with a grown larva that is full of nutrients, full of protein, full of benefits. And obviously that larva eats, and it does, let's say, number two. So it starts defecating, and that's called frass. And frass is basically all those proteins or all those nutrients that the larva doesn't keep for itself, that is expelling. And that becomes a very, very, very nutrient-rich organic fertilizer. So we have the service, and then we have two byproducts that we're selling to as protein for animal feed, specifically the pet industry, because since we don't have large quantities and we can't compete with low prices of commodities, we're aiming for a higher niche industry with a higher ticket in the pet industry. And on the other side, we have this organic fertilizer that we actually want to use it where we do the circular economy with our clients, or who generates that waste. So we give back to them or their value chain these byproducts that we reintegrate to the heart of the food chain or the heart of their value chain. That's where we do the circular economy per se.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, this is interesting. So on the one hand, you're solving a problem for big companies, getting rid of their organic waste. On the other hand, is basically for you a byproduct, but it could turn out to be actually the star product, the hero product, in the sense that you're gonna have, let's say, this insect protein that could serve in the pet food industry. But then I also start thinking about, okay, but wait a minute. This is already happening in Kenya. This is happening in Singapore. This is happening in the Netherlands. How can you compete with those guys?
It's interesting what you say, because yes, there's competitors, right? We have competitors everywhere. We have food competitors, we have waste competitors, we have fertilizer competitors. Okay. I think we're not competitors. We're colleagues in an industry. My organic waste that I have or I treat is in Colombia. It's not in Kenya. It's not in Malaysia. It's not in Europe. That's the first part. The second part is that it doesn't make sense if you're producing the same protein as me in Kenya, me sending it over to Kenya. It doesn't make sense. We have to use it locally. Yes, I want to think locally because that's the dream. But if I think as a company, I'm thinking maybe exporting finished products, not only prime material. I don't want to sell the larva per se. I want to sell a formulated product with the larva that I can actually export, where that's going to help me as a company grow here, expand globally, and also, let's say, develop a better economy locally here in Colombia with dollars, with euros, with pounds, etc. So if I get out a good formulated product that I can attract big companies to buy from me so I can produce for them as a white label product, that's the ideal. That's my business model. I want to produce for these big companies, white label, so they can use this formulated product, innovative, beneficial product for pets, etc., even pigs, chickens, or whatever, what they want, but me formulating it so they can use it and add it to their portfolio. I'm telling them, you don't need a team of 20 people to develop a new product. I already developed it. Add it to your portfolio, use your distribution channels. That's a big part. Use your marketing team. That's a big part, because that's another industry. That's another business. And that's something that I don't want to compete with. I don't want to compete with Pedigree, with Dog Chow, with Heels. I don't want to compete with big brands. I want to partner with them where they can see the environmental impact, the positive environmental impact that I can do, that I can also mitigate for them if they haven't, if they need to mitigate their environmental impact, and basically produce for them, become a production company. Because waste, there's going to be waste here, there, everywhere. There's going to be different types of waste. Yes, there's going to be different efficiencies with different waste, but at the end of the day, like I say, like a good agropreneur, let's say, when you think about a rice field, you have 200 hectares. The first hectare is not going to be the same as the last hectare. So you have to, let's say, homogenize everything and get out a product. So yeah, maybe thinking about European companies that they want to produce the best protein with 60%, 65% protein. If we have a protein that is in between 20 and 30%, it's good. It's really high, even though. But getting it from 30 to 33%, I think for myself, it's going to be a lot of resources, a lot of energy, a lot of work. And it doesn't make sense for me. Like, you have to work with what you have locally, and that's where I'm focusing it with.
Yeah. Very good. No, and I think that this is a crucial part, because I mean, for you, it's waste in, protein out. You're basically, it's a solution in a box you want to offer to the let's say to your clients, and those can be big corporates or whatever. Do it short cycle, do it local. Do you see any roadblocks ahead, like say bottlenecks, regulation locally, or permitting, zoning? What kind of hurdles are you looking at facing currently?
Right now, I'm actually getting out my environmental license with my local, let's say, regulatory company. And what I've been talking with them is that since I don't have any environmental impact in my process, because we don't lixiviate, that's something interesting. We produce really, really few amounts of CO2. So that's another good part. And we're not causing any harm with our groups of controls that we've already tested out with. This is something that basically we have all the checklists complete, and we have that like good view of our process. So regulatory, in terms of regulation, I think we're in a good track. The only thing is that there's no regulation. So that's the part, like, we have to create it. Like, people think about a fly, not the black soldier fly, but we think about the fly, and we think about a fly that if you're eating soup, the fly comes and it starts like bothering you. That's the bad fly. That's the one that eats, let's say, poos, bites, transmits different infections, whatever. That's a good part of this fly, that you don't see it. You only see it when there's this composition of organic waste. And that only happens when there's a big problem and it's like all piled up. If we take that and we don't let it pile up, we don't see it. But if we do the process in-house. That's one of my big, let's say, pain points, because nobody's doing it here in Colombia. We can't have a standardized source of a biological material that would be the small larva like they have in Europe, where you can just call a company, buy some small larva, and they can ship it over to you. That's our big pain point, and that's where we're focusing us right now, is in being able to maintain and stabilize our reproduction hub so we can scale up from there. So saying that, we have seen a problem because we're not being that productive in terms of revenue, because we're doing a lot of trials, and this means that there's a lot of R&D. So we need capital to do R&D. That's something that maybe other industries don't understand, that since you're in biotech, since you're in something sustainable, innovative, you do need some resources to be able to have that gas, to be able to get those results in a couple of months. The good thing with the fly is that the cycles are really small. They're like 21 days small. So we can do a lot of trials. We can pivot really fast, but we do need some gas to be able to do those. But yeah, we've been up and running for 1 year now, and we're breaking through that. We've grown 150x the last 4 months in our reproduction part. So that has also made us and that has also let us enter rooms and sit down with big corporates where we can have these conversations of thinking of scaling up with them. And that ends up also in something that I think we can talk on further on, is that in 2026, we're going to start our first round of investment. So it's going to be a good boost for us, and hopefully we can pass that valley of death and finally start earning the money that we're thinking of.
Yeah, no, this is super interesting. I mean, one of those things is actually when you talk about those roadblocks, you actually don't talk about regulatory roadblocks, but it's more of it is let's say cultural, right? Those invisible barriers where people have an idea about a fly. So for you to go, let's say B2B, have a concrete business proposition for corporates fixing their problems, I think that makes a ton of sense. So before we touch on, of course, your upcoming round, the second semester of 2026, I want to first know, what's your roadmap like? What are you going to do over the next, 12, 24 months?
All right. So right now, we finished our modifications for our pilot plant, and we have it up and running. We're starting to produce. So we're starting to test out different formulations of end products. And yes, I said that I'm thinking about getting to these big corporates, B2B, but at first we do have to enter a B2C market, start testing our product out, getting some traction, validating it, seeing the pets eat it, that they're good. We already have, but I think in a more documented way. So we're getting out a product hopefully next month. So that's going to be our first step. The next step would be to finish this negotiation with our logistic partners, so we don't have to be in charge of all this logistics. Right now, we are bringing the waste to our pilot plant, but as soon as we stabilize our pilot plant and have production up in capacity, with these logistic partners, the idea is to attend one of their clients on site. So that's where we're going to be passing on from TRL 5.6 to a TRL 7.8, and that's where we're going to validate our decentralized business model. With them, we're going to partner up and basically attend many other clients. So as soon as we get our first, let's say, container or decentralized bioconversion unit, I think the sky is the limit, because that same client can scale up easily in their own operation. We can have different units installed beside, because it's modular, it's easy to scale, easy to move out, move in, install. Basically, it's going to be a plug and play solution for our clients.
And I'm already looking forward to see this bioconversion unit. So I'll love this, because this is something that people not only come up with the solution, productize it. But if you can make it modular, and I mean, your unit economics becomes so very clear to any type of investor, right? So that is super interesting. So talking about investors, you're opening around the second semester of this year. So who are you looking for? What kind of partners you're looking for to scale this up?
To be honest, we're thinking about logistic partners. That's why I mentioned that that's one of our pain points that we're trying to fix. So we're looking for logistic partners where they already have the logistics of the organic waste set up. They already have that in their, let's say, portfolio or their service. They already attend different clients that we already know we can use, or that they can work perfectly out in our workflow. Because yes, like I said, there's many types of waste. It comes dirty, it comes contaminated with plastics, cardboards, whatever. You have to clean it up. So if we can look for exact clients, like in our benchmark market that we did with the climate, with the Clean Tech Hub and the Climatelaunchpad, identifying those clients, we can actually go straight to them and also make them participate. Yes, we want this big corporate logistics partner, but each unit basically works as a own business plan, an own business model. Because if the same waste generator wants to participate and wants to invest in the hardware, they can do that and they can earn money out of it, right? Because it's not only that they're paying for the service for us to operate, but also there's a production coming out of the unit that they can also participate. So we're looking for a mix of not only, let's say, industry players, logistics, waste management companies, or whatever that we can also integrate into them, but also thinking about these units as SPV business models, special purpose vehicle business models, where anyone can actually invest in it. And that's where we want to open this round as a pool round, where we can let other people participate and also finance their own hardware, so they can disappear their waste in record time with our little insects and an army.
Love it, love it. I mean, I think that's a great segue into my final question, and that is, of course, I mean, you have a clear vision on what you want to achieve, right? And that might still be, it will take a couple of years to materialize, and but it's a very clear vision. Now, if there's something, because we're going to have more other competitions and programs, of course, this year. Right now, we have applications open for the Climatelaunchpad. If there's anything you want to give, let's say, to new participants in the program, what would that be? What would that one thing be that you say, okay, think about this?
The road is never paved. So your idea is your idea. Maybe there's others' ideas similar, but they're not the same. Never. Like you never think the same as the other person. So if you have an idea, like I had a couple years ago, like 3-4 years ago, participate in these type of programs. For me, Clean Tech Hub has been with me since the beginning. So I've used all the tools, all the mentors, everything that they've given me to be able to create those steps in my road. Because you do need to have a roadmap, have a clear vision of where you want to be, even though the road isn't straight, it's zigzag. But look for support. Everyone puts a little stone in that step, in that road. Just try and materialize it, because you need to be very, very keen on and very focused on those steps, so you can start doing, let's say, short wins every day. Even though some days you just take 3 big steps back, someday you just jump like 20 kilometers in front, and you didn't even know it was going to happen, or you didn't expect it. So don't be afraid of just trying. The losers are the ones that don't even try, because if you try, you
100%.
you learn experience, you get to meet people. Like I say, when you enter a new job, even though it's in marketing or engineering or whatever, you start from zero. You start learning from zero. So it's like getting into a new job. Just learn your way and just keep pushing, because it's a lot of, you need to have a lot of patience and resistance. There's a saying that it's called resilience, but no, you have to be very resistant to no's, to bad days, to everything, and have a lot of patience for when that opportunity comes, you grab it from the neck.
Yeah, very good. I love this. I love this one. And also big shout out, of course, to your mentor, Javier Serrano, who helped you a lot on this whole trajectory. So Javier, thanks. In the name of Juan and entire CleanTech Hub, awesome to have mentors like this join us as well, and of course the founders and the startups. So Juan, I want to thank you a lot. Thank you very much for being here today with us, and of course wishing you all the best for the next 6 to 12 months, and hopefully you're gonna be able to close that round.
Gideon, thank you so much. Yes, a big shout out to Javier, to Monica that helped us get to Vienna. I know she's not with us anymore, but she's very, very close to all of our ecosystem, to all the entrepreneurs. I think that with these type of people, Gideon, with your experience also, with all the team and all the mentors, all the people that you get to know around this ecosystem, these programs, these competitions, everyone with their experience, with their know-how, adds so much value to you as a person, to the project or to future projects. So I think that's one of the best things for me, is to get to know people. If you didn't know, I also won the People's Choice Award in Vienna. So that was actually a big personal achievement for myself. And I think what I just said explains why I won that award, and the person that I want to become. Not only I want to become the insect guy, but I also want to become someone that helps the regulation here in Colombia and Latin America, globally, and become that big player in sustainability across the globe. I've been able to get to know big insect companies in Europe, in Canada, in Malaysia, and I'm excited to learn more about insects. I'm an engineer, but I love insects. I don't know. I just have a big passion with nature and animals, and I hope that I can keep pushing for a better world for our next generations.
Awesome. Thanks, Juan. And thank you for listening in today. If you have any questions for Juan, please reach out. Drop a note here under the video, or wherever you want to see our shorts. We'll be in touch. We'll be here next time with another of our founders sharing their experiences about how it is to be an early stage climate entrepreneur. So for now, I thank you, all of you listening in, and we'll see each other very soon.
Gideon, remember one thing. It all starts with OneFly at a time.
100%. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.